friends, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Jen. I do cooking and canning videos, and sometimes I post garden content. If that seems like the sort of thing that you'd be into, I hope you'll consider subscribing and sticking around. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite soup recipes, and it is for a broccoli cheddar soup that is better than Panera. So in a large heavy bottom pot, you're going to start with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And to that, you're going to add 1 large onion that you've chopped and about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic that you minced. The rule on garlic is just add as much as you like. Some people are bigger fans of garlic than others, and that's totally okay. You're just going to saute your onions and your garlic in this butter until the onions start to turn translucent. We're not cooking them all the way through. You want to be able to smell the garlic and onions to be softened. Once you get to that point, just remove the onions and the garlic from the pan into a bowl and set that to the side. And once you've done that, we'll get started on working on our soup base. So since this is a creamy soup, we're going to go ahead and add a half a cup of butter. And we're going to let that melt, and then to that butter, I'm going to add a half a cup of all-purpose flour. You're going to whisk this together really well until it's nice and smooth, no lumps, and you're going to continue to whisk this so it doesn't burn for about 2 or 3 minutes. You don't really want it to darken in color, so adjust your temperature if you need to. If you notice that your flour is starting to get dark, turn your heat down a little bit. We just want to make sure it doesn't stick or burn or clump up. After 2 minutes, I'm going to add 4 cups of cold milk slowly to this mixture while I whisk it. The way to prevent lumps in your sauces and soups and gravies is always to add cold milk to hot flour. So just take your time with this. Make sure you get around the edges, get it all incorporated, and it's not going to thicken right away, but as this cooks, it does thicken up. Once you get all of your milk incorporated, you're going to add 4 cups of chicken stock or vegetable stock. I'm using homemade turkey stock here. Just use whatever you have. I wouldn't necessarily recommend beef stock. That might be a little too rich for the soup, but definitely vegetable, chicken, turkey, anything like that would work just fine. Once your soup base starts to come up to a simmer, we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our ingredients. That was 2 stalks of celery that I sliced super thinly. You want to make sure that your celery is small so that it cooks fast. The soup does not take very long at all to come together once you start adding the vegetables in. We're going to add the onions and the garlic back into the soup base. And then ideally, you would like to have about 3 cups of chopped broccoli florets. I came up a little short on that. My broccoli heads were really small, so I have more like 2.5 cups, but it still worked out just fine. If all you have is frozen broccoli, you don't have access to fresh broccoli, frozen broccoli will work just fine. Don't sweat it. Just chop it down kind of small. And then this is 2 medium carrots that I shredded really finely. And when you add your carrots, don't panic that the carrots start to turn the soup a little bit of an orangey color. Remember, we're going to be adding cheese, and that is also going to make your soup orange, so it's really okay. Once you get everything in, bring it up to a simmer and let this pan simmer until all your vegetables are tender. After your vegetables are your desired doneness, now not everybody likes mushy broccoli. I like my broccoli to still have a little texture. Test them, see if they're where you want them to be. But once you get to that point, salt and pepper your soup. I will never give you measurements on salt and pepper because everybody's palate is different. Taste it and add however much you like. And I'm going to turn the heat down to really low so that I don't scorch my cheese. And I'm going to start to slowly add some mild cheddar into this soup. If you prefer, you can use sharp cheddar. I just don't like the way how sometimes sharp cheddar can get a little grainy when you're adding it into a soup or like macaroni and cheese. Sometimes the sharp cheddar can get a little bit of a texture to it that I don't enjoy. So I'm using mild cheddar here, but use whatever you like. Altogether, I'm using about 5 cups of shredded cheese. You can add more or less depending on your taste, but you'll notice here as I start to add these handfuls of cheese and they start to melt in, the soup gets incredibly thick. And that's why I said, don't panic if you think that your soup base is a little too thin, because once you add the cheese in, it just thickens right up. It is wonderful. I didn't have to do cornstarch. I didn't have to add any heavy cream or anything like that. This soup just turned out wonderfully thick and rich all on its own, just from the addition of the cheese and the little bit of flour that we used in the beginning. And that is it. Your soup is finished. At this point, once you get all of your cheese added in and melted and incorporated, your soup is done. So let me show you here how I serve this soup. Earlier this week, I posted the recipe for these beautiful bread bowls, and I will try to remember to leave a little card in the upper right-hand corner here if you care to go check out that video. This bread is so soft and pillowy. If you are unable to or just don't want to make your own bread bowls, you can use store-bought. That is fine. But as you'll see here, this bread is lovely. I am so glad I found this recipe. So I really hope that you guys just go out on a limb and go check out that recipe and make your own bread bowls at home. All you're going to do to prep your bread bowl is just cut into it like you're carving a pumpkin. You know, cut the top off, and then you're going to pick out some of the filling. Now, you can put this filling to the side and use it to make breadcrumbs, but I'll tell you what my family does with it is they put it on their plate with their bread bowl and they dip it in their soup. They absolutely didn't waste any of this bread, so breadcrumbs will have to come from something else this time. And basically, I just fill my bread bowls to the top with this wonderfully rich soup and serve it up to my family. Now, I did end up topping it with a little bit of parsley and some more shredded cheese. That's totally optional. You don't have to do that. Fresh parsley would be really good here. But yeah, my family really enjoyed this. We like Panera's broccoli cheddar soup, but this made me happy because I knew exactly what was going into it, and not to toot my own horn, but it was better than Panera. So I really hope that you give this recipe a try. I'll leave the ingredients in the box below. And if you do try it, make sure you come back and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, friends, happy cooking.